Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luca C. Now here he is, Luca C.
Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How you doing today? Welcome to another episode of the Unpodcast. And we have another YouTuber that I've been wanting to bring on the show and have you all meet. We got right over here, Fred Henry. Say hi to the folks.
What's going on?
Yeah.
What's happening, everyone?
And if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, please do. Go over there and check it out. This guy is a great model builder. Puts on some neat stuff, and he's got a really good channel over there. And it seems like you're already cranking up in the subs there. I was looking. You're over 1,000 now, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I've been over 1,000 for a while. It's just I'll take a hiatus here and there, and sometimes the sub counts go down, some go up, and mostly it's been going up. I try to put out quality content, and I really appreciate you having me on here.
Oh, yeah.
Luca. It's watching you for years, and I tell you, it's just great to be on here, and I really appreciate it.
Ah, no problem. Thanks. Yeah, we talked a bit. A couple times on the phone and stuff. This is the first time we've been kind of video feed. Oh, got a crasher right now. He's always crashing. Grandson.
Better ask for the ID.
Yeah, he's always checking in. Well, thank you. He brought me a piece of pizza that and I think I will give it back to the dad. Tell him thank you. That's what I got to deal with. But
that's cool. I wish I got room service too.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, he already brought me one. I'm full. Woo.
Yeah, we had pizza. We had pizza last night, so yeah, I was just like, ooh.
But so I tell you what, I'm going to let you take over right now and tell us a little story about what is it that got you into building model cars and why you love model cars and the real things too, I'm sure, and then getting into YouTube.
Well, that's going to take all of about 5 minutes. Are you ready?
All righty. Well, I'm up for a quick show. I'm
oh, God. Man. Actually, look, I've gotten back into it actually a couple times since, the teenage years. Of course, when growing up in the mid 70s, I got into it. A friend of ours that lived down the street from us, he was always building. And he was building these old glue bombs. But I always thought it was real cool, man. He'd go out there and he'd have them all spray painted one color. But, I always thought it was real cool. And finally, I grew up in the rural section of Georgia, here in West Georgia. And really the only place you had a bunch of hobby shops around the area, but it was mostly related to, model cars, model trains, or model airplanes, which I had a neighbor down the road also he dabbled in RC airplanes. And I thought that was just great till I seen the price of them. And then I just I ventured off into the model cars, and, I'd save my money up and I'd take off to the hobby shop with Mom. We might go to into town once a month, and I'd save my allowance up, and I'd go buy me a model car. Friday night, I'd sit in my room and just glue that sucker up and paint it one color, just like my next door neighbor would do. And I was like, hey, that looks great. And 2 months later, it'd lead up to the demise of a firecracker or or play army with it and throw rocks at it until it's pretty much. I'm sure I have probably tore up some vintage kits along the way.
Yeah.
Actually, I have in my stash now, so I'm it's kind of it's come full circle. So,
yeah.
But and then I got into the life moves on. I find out about this thing called hot rods that are 1-to-1 scale as I got on up into the 15 and 16-year-old stage. And then I found this other hobby that was called females. And man, I tell you what, those hot rods and females, they kind of go parallel to they
kill the model,
they merge.
Yeah.
so the model building went out the window. But yeah, I've had several 1-to-1 scale hot rods over the years. I'm in my late 50s now, so and the way I put it right now, the way people ask me, God, you build model cars, and the cars that you build look so realistic. And I'm like, well, I said, it's actually, I appreciate the compliment, but it's also, I tell everybody that I can have any hot rod that I wanted from my youth in a 1/25th scale, and I don't have to pay insurance, gas, or anything like that. So, and I've got probably some of the ones that's around the room right here that I've got built are actual cars that I've either I've had over the years, or I have seen at rod runs, car shows, and things like that really stuck out to me. And I try to duplicate them, through building them right here on the table. So, but life, like I say, life moves on. Finally, I get away from building hot rods, and I kind of start getting a little bit older in age. And then I decided, well, you know what, I'm ready to get out of small town America, which I was born and raised up here in rural Georgia, the western part of Georgia, like I said earlier, and went into the Navy. And with that being said, that turns out to be a career.
Yeah.
And when I got out, I got out of the Navy, I kind of reached back to my old ways of hot rods and girls. and that, like I say, it merges together, gets expensive. And next thing I know, I'm like, I get to a point where, it gets expensive building 1-to-1 scale. And then, like I say, back to this, I can own any hot rod that I want right here in this on this bench right here, and I can keep it for the rest of my life. So, but it's, in a nutshell, it's a rewarding hobby for me. I love spending time in here. I've got just about any part right here on my pegboard. I got any kit I want out in the garage. Not braggingly saying that. I like building the kits, but I like collecting them also. So it's I love going to the model shows. It's not just when I got back into the hobby. One of the when I got back into it, I started dabbling around and looking for tips and techniques on YouTube. This was a new avenue, to find information for anything, anything from fixing your regular car to your hobbies. And I got to looking around, and one night we were sitting around on a Friday night, my wife and I think I had bought I think one of the first kits that I had bought at that time was the AMT 67 Nova 2 Pro Street. Everybody knows I love Pro Street. So I bought that, and I started looking on YouTube for, tips, paint tips, little pop-ups and things like that you could do. And I happened up on a YouTube channel. It was a guy's name was Chevy Cheeseburger.
Oh,
Chip Reimer. Chip Reimer. And anyhow, I got to watching his stuff, and then I found out that he was, I say local, he lives up in Middle Tennessee. And I found out there was going to be a model show here in Atlanta, actually the Big Acme show here in the Atlanta area. So I was just like, wow. And he was even talking about it in one of his videos, said that he owned he owned kind of like a extreme detail, which was, you could buy just about any of the the good aftermarket stuff from him. And anyhow, moving forward, I met up with him at the Acme show that year, which was probably around, I'd say around 2014. And we went there with not trying to even thinking about showing the Glue Bomb 66 Nova that I had built. and didn't even carry it with me, but I was wanting to buy some parts from him, things like that. And I had built a few other kits, in that time span, and I showed him. I went there and I went with a pocket full of money. I left with a empty pocket. So, but I showed him some of my builds that I had built over that period of time, and he was like, "Wow, man, have you got a YouTube channel?" And I'm like, "No, man, I watch you all the time. It's like I'm talking to royalty."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, dude, I watch
He's
you."
one of the first.
And he was like, "Yeah, he was." Then I started watching, Fast Jimmy 71, CT Speed Shop, and just moving forward, but Chip was really the one that challenged me to start my YouTube channel. And that was, I've been on YouTube since about 2016. And, anyhow, that, he's probably the one that, twisted my arm the hardest and said, "Yeah, Fred, you need to, consider making a channel." So I did. And, 6 years, almost 6 years in December, later, still floating around on YouTube. But I tell you, look, it's been a ride. I mean, it's had its ups, it's had its downs also.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. It's very rewarding. Yeah. One of the things that I did when I first got back into the hobby, and actually when I went to my first model show and I got to meeting guys like Chip and Shane Harrell with Man Cave Models and Tim Halsey, throwing names out there, Papa Dan, Rick Scott at Heartbeat Models, and Old Tom Rambler 69. I met these guys, and one of the things that I challenged myself to do was I wanted to build just as good as they did. I try any builder that I put on the table now. I don't try to make it better than what they are. I just like to take the tips and techniques that they use and apply them to myself and try to expand out. But one of the goals that I set for myself was, and I was seeing these other guys, like the guys that I was idolizing like that, which I really would say idolized, but I admired.
Yeah.
And I was buying Scale Auto magazine, and I'd go to the Acme show in Atlanta, and one of the things that I always wanted to do was to win top 10 in Atlanta. So at the Acme show last 2 years ago, I brought home a top 10 with a Chevy Blazer that I built. And the other thing that I wanted to do, and one of the goals I always really wanted to have or get into, was to have one of my builds in Scale Auto magazine. So far to date, I've got one, I think two, I have to look around, y'all excuse me, three, I think I've had 4 builds in Scale Auto magazine.
Oh, awesome. Really?
Yeah, it was really, it was, and that's the fun of going to the show. You get a magazine like Scale Auto that you read all the time, and you see other builders that you admire. You see their car, and you're like, "Damn, man, I've seen that. And I've seen it in the shows, and man, it's just awesome." And I know the dude. I know who this is.
Yeah.
That
is such a neat thing.
It is. And then, to go to the shows and when you got a magazine like Scale Auto was there, would be at one, Fine Scale Auto would be, or Fine Scale Modeler, I'm sorry, to usually when we go to the show, we'll be, you'll see them walking around, and they're putting cards on the table like, we'd like to photograph your model for such and such magazine. We'd go to lunch and come back, and you'd be like, "Yes." It's like Christmas Day. You'd be like,
"That's almost better than
man. I get to go up there, and it is. It really is, Luke. It really is. It's but it's fun. It's
have them.
But getting to go,
model that much.
Yeah. That's what. That's what I feel, is the payoff, bringing home the hardware, that is, but
that's a cherry
the
on
other
the top.
thing that I really, exactly.
That's a cherry on the top, but it's what
best way
other things that
describe
that come with the shows. The thing that you have for you when you started out, it sounds like you probably had one of the best model car shows to go to for your first show. You couldn't have picked a better show to that be your first experience.
Yeah, I agree. That's and we have here in the South. You know, I was watching Dustin Hinterland's interview with Josh Risdom this morning, and he got to Dustin went out to the Nats in Las Vegas last week.
Oh yeah,
and man, I was just like, I'd love to be able to go out and see something like that. We were fortunate enough 3 years ago to have the IPMS Nats in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is about an hour and a half drive north of me. So 3 years ago, myself and Tim Halsey, we took off. Tim, I keep saying Tim. Tim's got a YouTube channel as well, and he's one of them that I used to and got to be real good friends with. I've met a lot of friends through the YouTube community.
Yeah,
that we associate. You know, we text back and forth. But Tim and I, he lives north of me. He lives up in the Dalton, Georgia area. He's about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. I hooked up with him one Saturday morning during the Nats, and I said, "Hey, let's go up there." I'm not going to show anything. I just want to go up there and shop. So, like I say, you go up there with a pocket full of money and come back broke as hell, but with a truck of, the back of the truck full of
happy
and stuff. Yeah, but happy, yeah.
Yeah, I know that when we had the Nats here in Phoenix, I didn't enter, but yeah, I sure did come home with a bunch of neat stuff. Oh, it was fun. I was really bummed I missed the and very regretful I missed the Vegas one, but I'm coming out. I'm probably going to book my flight tomorrow. I'm coming out to the Atlanta show. I've always wanted to go to that, so I'll be
awesome. We're gonna make sure you have a good time.
Oh heck yeah! And Mark Batson's heading there. I guess Clay Kemp's heading there. I got Tim Brown from Throttle Power talked into it, and of course Matthew from Model Car Videos. He's actually going to pick me up from the airport, and so it's going to be fun. And geez, BG, how can I forget my buddy Brian here in Phoenix?
Hey,
also rolling. So
it'll be Brian's third. I think this will be his third trip out here. Yeah,
he was the one that definitely put me over the top of definitely I'm going. He just kept raving about it. I mean, I've wanted to go for years. I've known that it's a great show, but it's like I got to pull the trigger. I got to do it this year, and that's going to be fun. So it's kind of like all us YouTubers going to be there. We could all make videos and video bomb each other's videos. That'll be fun. Put them all out, and people can see from different viewpoints of the same thing. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm looking. It is. That's going to be a lot of fun. But and like you're saying with this YouTube thing, it's been cool of all the people that you get to meet and these new friendships that we make. Like I was talking about Tim from Throttle Power. Him and I talk almost every day. Brian, we were in the same town, never knew it. And we become good friends. Got that new club going, and there's another guy, Chuck from I don't know if you've heard of. He's kind of a up and comer, new YouTuber. Chuck's Hobby Spot.
And
that guy is a phenomenal builder. I'd like to get him to go to Atlanta. That guy won. He brought home 4 awards from the Nats last week.
Yes, I was. I've been following him for some time now. And, just great builders.
Some great.
But
guys. It's so neat.
Yeah,
and it's neat how with this modern technology, how we all can be good friends. I just spent some time with Mark Batson earlier today on the Zoom here, and we were discussing a whole bunch of stuff. So it's neat the friendships that we've all built up, and it's cool to kind of help one another out and get some things where we meet up at shows. That's a ball.
Yeah. Venturing back to when I first I got kind of started in YouTube. I used to on Friday nights. I don't know if you remember. We used to have a little thing called Friday Night Hangout. It was myself, Clifton Cliff, golly, I hate to forget names. But anyhow, Cliff, Young Model Master, Skylar Jahola with Kicking Wing Customs, about 4 or 5 others. We used to get on Friday nights and do Friday night hangout, which it was kind of we was on at the same time on Friday night hangout as Gil with Gilbert Mondragon. And it was just like, well, who's trying to top who? But we wasn't trying to do it. We wasn't trying to take away from neither one of them. But we always had a good time. And it's, I've had the pleasure of meeting. I hadn't gotten to meet Clifton yet, but he goes by Kissy Boy Customs. But
okay, yeah,
I've got to meet Young Model Master, which is James Schultz. He hadn't built any. He's actually gotten bit by the bug I used to have when I was a teenager. The fumes, the perfumes, and the alcohol and the gasoline fumes.
Yeah. we all went through that phase. Now.
But but a lot of them have come down to the Atlanta show, and that's how I've got to. I've got to meet them, but each year brings, I feel like it brings different, it brings new friends. I was actually texting Matthew, we were going back and forth yesterday, on just through a text. And Matthew, we've talked, he knows that I go to the JaxCon show in Jacksonville, Florida a lot. And he's like, hey, man, if you go next year, you got, because he lives in South Georgia.
Yeah.
He said, man, you got to swing by and pick me up. And I'm like, hey, no problem. Yeah. I mean, when we go, I go to JaxCon, I make a weekend out of that. Me and my wife, we'll leave out like on a Friday, and then we'll take off. And, we're at the show all day Saturday, then come back late Sunday evening. So, but that's, there's just so many great shows around the Southeast region. You got JaxCon, you got the Acme show, of course. I'm going to, matter of fact, I've got a big lineup right here of builds I'm taking to the Phantom Flasher show in Anniston, Alabama on September the 11th, if we're still around. long as nothing's going down, as long as we're not having to fight fight battles with the Taliban or anybody. So, but I'm not gonna get political. I promise you I won't do that. So, but headed to that's what happens when you get an old sailor on here and an opinionated sailor at that. So,
oh, I know.
I'm looking forward. This is actually the show that I'm headed down to, or headed over to. It's west of where I live, over in Anniston, Alabama. This is actually be the first show I've been to since February of 2020.
Oh, no kidding.
February 2020 was the JaxCon show in Jacksonville. And then, then 2021 rolled around. Everything just went off the table. Nothing was going on. So I pretty much, Model Builders has been, we've been practicing for this stuff for years. As far as isolation, that give us a chance to get in here.
And
matter of fact,
it ended up actually bringing more people to the hobby. I bet you we're going to start seeing a lot of first timers at all these shows now. Guys who jumped into the hobby because there was nothing else to do. And then I think they'll stay with it because they found out, one, how neat it is. It's fun, but the fact of all the great people. And you go to a model show and it's just so fun meeting everybody. Like you said, people you used to see in Scale Auto, and now it's YouTube and on the Facebook groups. And you've heard, you run it. Oh yeah, I've seen your models. You're always posting over on that one Facebook group. And and you end up meeting all these people, and that will keep someone who's just getting into this hobby to stay with it, just that alone. So it's great that the shows are starting. You guys are so lucky back east, like you said. I lived there for a couple of years. I lived up in Virginia in the early 90s. Yeah, and I was going to model shows on a slow month. Was at least one model show one weekend I would be taking off, but we were rolling. Oh gosh, almost every weekend. Sometimes there was always something, from little tiny shows at a little hobby shop or at a car show, a small car show out in the middle of nowhere, to big shows down in Charlotte and man, out here in the West, also the Southwest is so spread out. It's pretty much whenever there's a show, we've got a couple coming up, and we got to drive. It's always a 5-6 hour trip whenever you want to go to a mall, unless there's one here in Phoenix, and there never really is. Hopefully, we'll be changing that soon. So, it's I have always, because I got a little taste of it, and so I've always envied you guys out there. You get to. Because me, I haven't been to the last model show. I come to think of it, I think the last model show I went to, entered in, and all that was the NHRA Museum Spirit of Speed. That would have been in 2018, I think. Yeah, it would have been November of 18. That's the last model show I went to. That's how stupid I am for not going to Vegas.
I tell you, it's like I say, COVID reared its ugly head and it just put a hiatus. But I think it's really helping. It's helping our hobby. And one of the things that I want to hit on is you were talking about the model shows out here on the east versus model shows out there on the west. But let's talk about the hobby shops. The hobby shops out here, they're the mom and pop shops. They're gone. Where we have a lot of model shows, but we're pretty much well brandished to the hobby towns, which we've got a Hobby Town USA. I think there's 3 in the state of Georgia, but there's there's a multitude of hobby lobbies. But you go to one hobby lobby and it's pretty much got the same kits as the Hobby Lobby down near to Florida. But we really don't have. I think what I call a true mom and pop hobby shop. There's one north of us, probably about 45 minutes where I live at, and he takes consignments, like people that's getting out of the hobby. He'll take their and sell, try to help sell their kits and stuff. And I go up there and I support him all the time. But jumping back over to the left coast over where you're at, y'all don't have a lot of shows, that's within, 5 hours drive of each other. Yeah. But from what I can get, my God, I'd give my left arm to live close to Andy's hobby shop. I'd be going. Extremely
lucky, especially I am extremely lucky.
Man, I'd just be like, Andy, just give me a key to the shop. Let me just work for you for free. Please do.
It is, I've always goofed with him. I of course, he opened up that shop in like 2004, and I was one of his first customers. I was in there that first week he was open, and him and I hit it off, and we became close friends years ago. So I've watched his development, and then when the YouTube thing kicked off and what it turned his business into. And I used to goof on him and say, dude, you are the most well-known little hobby shop in the world. And he, oh, come on. No. No, bashful. Now he's finally seen, especially when he went up to Vegas. Getting him. But what a neat opportunity I have to first watch that growth. And he is, dude, what you see on YouTube, it's genuine. That's really him.
That's awesome.
And the funny thing is and I'm pretty lucky. I have said this before. I don't know if you ever heard me say this. It's kind of a goof, but not really a goof. I drive by a hobby shop to go to his. I literally do. I have, and there's quite a few in this town. There's quite a few hobby shops in this town. It's a spread out town, but there's a few of them. And in his time, there have been a few that have popped up and vanished too, right in this area. Some make it, some don't, but I don't know. He's got it figured out how to do it as they're a small mom and pop operation. Just did it right for some reason. But it's really sad. Some of them that they can't hold on to it, even some long time ones, but like up towards, where Tim's at up there in, Kentucky and Illinois and all that. He's got there's a bunch of hobby shops around there. He's always making those videos and finding those shops.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Yeah.
I bet you if somebody got the...
Yeah, there's
I really think a hobby shop could open up and last now almost anywhere in the country. It's just going to take some people who, that'd be a scary thing. If I had the money and I wasn't near it, it'd be useless for me to do it here. I'd have to go away.
Yeah. Well, I've got an old, I wouldn't say I've thought about doing the same thing myself, because I learned years ago that you don't take something that you enjoy and turn it into a job, and guess what? You end up hating it.
Yeah.
And that'd probably be me. I'd be like, God, I enjoy doing this, but God, I don't want to go in there and build a nut. Jeez. But I could probably be a good consultant. Hey, what kind of what kind of a business could I? Well, I tell you what, open up a hobby shop, and I can tell you how to stock it, what to put in it, and how to run it. But am I going to give you any money for it? That'd be me if I was. What's that show?
Shark Tank,
where the millionaires.
Yeah.
Shark Tank. That'd be me.
Tank.
I'd be the Mark Cuban sitting over there. I'd be like, yeah, I've got give me about $500,000. Open up a hobby shop, and I'd be the billionaire sitting in there, going in there, and hey, I made him a billionaire. But yeah, we just don't have that many hobby shops. If anything that opens up around, I say around this area, if it caters to anything more than model related, as far as model cars, model trains, it's all RC. And either RC cars or RC planes or helicopters and things like that. I'm guilty of it. When I come out of the Navy, that was, I spent my career in the Navy out on the left coast over there with you, out in San Diego and that area.
Yeah.
And in the California area, and I actually watched the RC car craze to go out of the, off the Richter scale. I was out there, Rancho Conga, at the Ranch Pit Shop. That was where the Gil Locy's and all the big names in RC got started out there.
Yeah.
And and then when I came back out this direction, out here on the right hand coast, or in Georgia, nearest coast to us was 5 hours away. But then it was starting to migrate its way back over to here as far as the RC car stuff, and I got into that also. I dabbled into the RC cars as far as the on-road, off-road. Yeah, it was dangerous.
You're very dangerous.
Get out. Yeah,
dangerous to the wallet.
Yep, and we did. And I did a lot of damage. There was also, there's a lot more tracks around here too. We had dirt tracks. We had one of the largest on-road tracks for 1/8 scale RC cars, probably about an hour east of us. And I dabbled into that also. Man, I raced 1/8 scale RC cars for a long time, and it was. I had a thing on my toolbox that said speed, cost, and how fast do you want to go, and it had dollar signs by it.
Oh, yeah.
The more you spend, the faster you go, and the more you win. So
yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, there was a really, really big the RC racing was real serious out here for a while, and it died out. It seems like the hobby industry in itself, or having a hobby shop, if you're wanting to do it on your own and not be one of the big chains, it's almost like you have to pick something and just do that. It's really difficult to have a hobby shop that has everything in it today. Like that, I think that's a secret to Andy's success. It's just model cars. I'm not model cars. He's just plastic model kits, and not even just plastic, just model kits, scale model kits. And he caters to that. He doesn't do anything else. No trains, no RC. And he gets phone calls all the time. And that's where that other hobby shop I talked about that I passed, That's more of an RC place and crafts, and there's a lot of that around. Just cater to one thing or another. There used to be a lot of strictly just RC shops in the area, and they've all shut down because it's kind of died out. But yeah, it's I think that if someone was to open up a hobby shop, especially if they were interested in the model kit end, just do model kits. Don't try to cover all that other stuff. And that'll keep you to where you can have your store smaller, less rent, less overhead, less stuff to buy. You can really pack up your store with model kits, and you can also reduce down to even just it being you as the employee. That helps out a lot too. That's a thing. But
one of the business models that I actually thought of, and not that I was wavering it around in my head to do it, but I mean, like this model Andy has as far as just doing plastic models itself, but catering to the beginners, which here, buy the kits, buy the paint, buy the glues. Then cater to the guys, the crazy guys like me that wants all the aftermarket stuff.
Yeah.
As far as the nice, Pegasus tires and wheels, the Protex stuff. God, I have to look around and see what all I use. I'm fixing a name drop. But I mean, behind me, you can see what I use a lot of stuff in my builds. One of those. Catering to guys like that, and it's getting to be big. Is another line of stuff to carry would be the 3D printing stuff.
Oh yeah,
which I've dabbled into also.
Really? Yeah, that's
exploding.
That's exploding.
Yeah, and I just dropped about probably I ain't gonna tell you how much I dropped on a 3D printer and a as far a curing station. So and then you got to buy files.
You got a resin.
You got to buy the files, and you got to buy the slicing. Yeah.
You bought the resin with that.
I went and purchased the. I got a Anycubic photon. I got that. So
that's the one.
Everybody that I talked to was like, and I tell you, I've just done the test print. I'm scared to death. I haven't, I just found out recently too that, the file, you have to buy the files, which I knew that, but you got to have a program in your computer. So, the only laptop that I have is my work provided laptop, and they don't allow us to plug anything unless it's business related into it. So, so I'm gonna have to go to the expense of buying me a new laptop, just to play with this, which I don't mind. I mean, it's it's for my own enjoyment. It's just like what I said a while ago. Vicky, my wife, don't have to. She ain't got to hunt me.
Yeah,
she's gonna see me back. Yeah, where you at? I'm not off doing, in the bars or doing crap like that or doing things I shouldn't be. I'm sitting right in here and enjoying the hell out of whatever I'm either creating, building, or trying to plan for my next build. So
yeah, it does. It kind of you end up doing that even no matter what you're working on. You're always thinking about that next build or the one after that, or 3 of them at a time. Yeah. It's just all it does is you're at a car show and you see something, or you're watching a race on TV, and it inspires you, and you got another idea, and it just never stops.
No, it's a tangled. It's definitely a tangled web.
It is, but it's a fun one.
It is. It's very very rewarding.
It is.
A lot of people just they ask me what's your hobby? Well, I enjoy, I'm very passionate about this right here. My other hobby is relates back to my military experience, which I love. I'm a very big second rights, Second Amendment. So I have, let's just say I like to play with stuff that goes boom. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yep. It seems like a lot of us are got that one too. I have a few myself. Heck yeah. That's I even find with what you're talking about, that's always fun I had thought about getting a little more involved in that stuff. Just some of the neat things or modifications you can do, and having fun with that. There's a lot of that here because Arizona is very, very Second Amendment, and it's so in my other life, I work at a convenience store, and there's people that walk in with firearms on them all the time, and it's just not a big deal. It's a pretty open state here, and so there's a lot of great places to go to and go shooting. I mean, they're like hobby shop. It feels like it. Like I'd go to a place called Shooter's World, and there's a couple other spots like that you can rent guns or buy. I mean, there's like a complete store, and it has a hobby shop feel about it when you go in there. It's neat. It does. That is a whole nother hobby. It really is.
Yeah, it is. There's a gun. I call it a gun club. It's called the Governor's Gun Club. It's probably 10 minutes below my house, and I'm a member down there. And it's if I've had a crappy day, crappy week or something like that, there ain't nothing like walking in there and sending some lead down range. I mean, that's another big stress reliever for me.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I can walk in there and I can drop. Well, if you remember, I mean, you can drop some money on the target, and I can carry probably 200 rounds down there and be out of there within an hour.
Yeah,
if anything. So, but that like I say, that's another expensive ammunition. That's we ain't gonna talk about that hobby.
Yeah, it's starting to get going. Yeah. In another direction. But and as I've been getting to meet people, and like I do this show and bringing other modelers on here, it's amazing how much everyone is so much alike, and
exactly
so much. It's definitely, we're all kindred spirits. I really have enjoyed talking with them, and I always continue talking to them afterwards. And this modern technology has just been a cool thing for the hobby. I think it's done nothing but good for the hobby. People talk about the bad stuff all the time, and it's like, oh man, there's no time for the bad stuff.
No
time.
No, it's just like Gilbert. Just like Gilbert Mondragon said. Build a GD model. Leave the drama to the queens. and it's and it's so true. It's so true. I mean, I can have a bad day at work, but I can come in here and have just as an equally bad day on the bench, but just have just as much fun though. I can come in here and probably, paint a body and go, oh shit, I got fish eyes in this thing. Yeah, you know what? I carry it out to the old purple pond, drop it off into it, and I'll go and pull another kit, and I'll go, well, let's try this one. So. Exactly.
What is that, like the fishing thing? Your worst day model building is better than your best day at work, right? That's it.
It's so true. Yeah, so true.
You get onto your bench. I was working a little earlier there, just sanding away, and you just forget time and everything. All of a sudden, hey, I was supposed to go do something.
Yeah,
you just lose yourself. It's an art form. It's a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah, that's that was one of the things I was going to try to touch on just a few minutes ago, and I kind of veered off the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, rabbits and squirrels.
Yeah, squirrels.
Rabbits, squirrels.
Oh god. But that's someone asked me, they were saying, what kind of hobby do you have? And I tell them I build model cars, and I don't really say I build model cars. I tell them I build model car art. And because I try to make it, someone asked me in an interview one time, it was probably one of the first interviews that I ever, somebody out to me. And it was just a bit of advice that I used in the interview. They said, when you're building something, what's your plan? Well, I get a plan in my head, and then I move forward. Then I try to make each part of the build a masterpiece. You start off with an engine, try to make that into a masterpiece. Take the interior to try to make that a masterpiece. Try, the frame, make that a masterpiece, and then the body. As far as get the paint as perfect as you can, make it look like a piece of glass, And then you take all them little masterpieces and you put them together, and 9 times out of 10, sometimes you can take it to a show and bring some hardware, or have a card laid down beside your bill. We'd be interested in photographing your bill for such and such magazine. So payoff to me is that right there. And then the friendships, comes along. 6 years ago, 10 years ago, the people that, I would watch on YouTube all the way up to the present time right now, I've got my phone. I don't even know if my phone will hold anymore. I mean, it's, I've met so many people through the modeling community that, at one time, I admired their builds. Now I can call them a true friend, and I can call upon them anytime. It's just wonderful.
That's neat. Yeah, that's a big satisfaction in this. That's just been kind of really recently happening with me. I was working so hard in so many things and doing this channel, trying to grow this channel, and I wasn't really speaking to other too many others outside of all my close friends here in town. And heck, like I said, I had a couple guys here in town and I didn't even realize it. And I knew they were there. It wasn't that I was ignoring anybody. Mm-hmm. I was just so wrapped up in things that were going on. And I started kind of, I don't even know how I end up talking to some of them, but Mark Batts and all that. That's when I came up with the idea of doing this Unpodcast thing. This gives me opportunity to talk to so many of these guys. And, it's really been quite fulfilling and pretty neat. And heck, we help each other all grow in this thing, and again, all positivity, a lot of friendships. It's cool. We have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm definitely super looking.
I agree.
Done all this, I probably wouldn't be going to Atlanta. It's I'm looking forward to it now. I feel like I'm going to be meeting up with a bunch of friends that have been the old time friends. And I haven't ever met any of you guys and shook hands. We've never been in front of one another, and we already feel like really close friends.
Yeah, I tell you, just the all the guys that I look forward to Acme every year. Last year we had to do it online because of the COVID situation, but this year it's gonna. I mean, there's guys that's going to be coming down here for the first time. I look forward to that. I kind of consider this our Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
building. We all get to come down here and we get to be teenagers again. And I'll tell you, I mean, Friday night before the show, everybody gets together at the host hotel, and I'll be there. I don't stay there because I live 30 minutes from the venue. Yeah, and me and my wife, we go down there and we sit and we talk, and we register also. That's where we'll do all the registering that night. Then Saturday morning, I get up early and I'm down at the venue 30 minutes to an hour before it starts, and get everything set up. Then we just sit all day and just talk models, shop models. Around lunchtime, we'll all venture off and go get us a bite to eat. But later on that night, after the show's over, regardless of whether or not if I've won or what have you, if I've won anything, I've won a lot of brand new friends throughout the day. Yeah. We'll all take off and we'll go to dinner that night. Yeah. And the last time we all went out to dinner, we just about had the whole section of Longhorn to ourselves. And these people were probably sitting there going, what in the heck is going on over there? These guys are, I mean, it wasn't drinking, and there was, the beers were flowing, but we were just over there being, just having a good time. And we were just talking about old shows that we'd been to, and that day, just shooting the crap. We have a great time there each year.
Every major show that I've ever gone to, it always seems to turn into that. I've done that, and that's something that I'm planning my whole weekend around that. I'm going to get into town to be there Friday because, you know, everybody told me about the Friday meetup and pre-registering. And then, of course, after the show, I can't leave that night. I'm going to have to leave Sunday morning because I got to go out. I don't want to worry about having to go to the airport. I want to just go out and enjoy the evening with my friends, having a nice dinner. That to me that's the whole part of going to a model show, I think. That's the fun of it. It's a blast.
You were talking about meeting Brian Gugamos, G, for the first time.
Oh, we get down here where you're at. Come down here.
Which I had, you know, we had conversed a lot, Brian and I, you know, through YouTube. Never had met him until about, I think 3 years ago. But anyhow, he came to the host hotel. They actually were there before I got there. And I'm 6'3". I walk in, I have to go. I look at Brian, I'm like, damn, I feel short compared to you. And it was just like, you know, there was an instant friendship, and we just all, oh God, we have a great time. He brings his wife Linda along. My wife Vicky, she's, like I say, she supports it. She's not there all day. But you can bet your butt she's going to be there at about probably 2:00, and then she's there for the rest of the night, or, you know, till we go out to dinner and things like that. And she has, you know, she gets over there and they get talking. I'm sure they probably sitting over there, all the wives are sitting over there going, look at them kids. Yeah. 58, 60 years old.
Youngest 50-something bunch of guys you're ever going to meet. Bunch of old guys playing with our toy cars, right?
Yeah,
I know that. That's what's great about
this. Just hope Pappy don't bring out the firecrackers and everything. Start wanting to shoot at
them. No. Yeah, it's a. Yeah, I know. And when I met Brian, I met him over at Andy's. And yeah, it's like your voice doesn't sound that tall, dude. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. But it's been neat over the past few months, just meeting everybody and becoming friends with so many different people. It's pretty cool. This modern technology. Now the shows are open up, we can all actually really face-to-face meet. That's going to be a lot of fun. I am looking forward to getting out there and going to that.
Yep.
It's going to be
we're looking forward to having you down here. We'll be on our best Southern behavior.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. I've been there before. It's not my first time being in Atlanta. I kind of know the area where the show's at because I had a friend of mine that used to live in Marietta, and I went and spent. I went there a couple times and spent. So I know the area. I remember there was a really cool hobby shop up in Marietta. Okay. This was back in the early 90s. So but
it was probably, I know exactly where you're talking about, Luca. It was probably it was a hobby shop called Automotive, probably. And it was in Smyrna, Georgia, which that was it's not far from where that venue is at, where the Acme show's at. But the guy catered to just model related stuff as far as cars, had all the aftermarket parts, resin, bodies, whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I remember I bought a bunch of decals from him.
Car
decals from him.
Yep. And he had that for years. And then when I got out of the Navy, when I came back to the Atlanta area, it was gone. He had sold it.
Yeah.
I think I had heard some, that he had just through the grapevine that he'd gotten in bad health, and, then he lost his rental on the place where it was at, and brought most of the stuff to his house, and I think most of it got sold off. So I hate that. Like I say, mom and pop. Yeah.
It's getting harder, and now you just don't see new ones pop up or people willing to buy those places when those people want to retire because naturally people be scared to get into it. They think that I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, but I don't know. You probably could, but it's going to take who knows? Maybe there'll be a turnaround someday and people start opening them up again. I know it's crazy.
Yep.
The hobby has. You talk to anybody in the industry, they're all going to say that this past year they had their biggest year. All the model companies, anybody in the aftermarket, people who did have hobby shops, I've heard the same thing. The biggest year ever.
Mm-hmm.
So something's happening, and that's cool.
Yep.
And that's probably why I've noticed in the past year the YouTube thing boomed. So
and that helps out also. So
yeah, I think it's changed the whole landscape of what we do on here.
Yep.
But I tell you, Fred, wrap this up here.
Okay.
Neat story. Thanks a bunch for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And I just want to, again, I'm going to say to everybody out there, if you never checked out his channel before, please do. It's just Fred Henry. There'll be a link down in the description if you do it that way. And but it's easy to find. Go check him out. Give him a thumbs up. Say hey and subscribe. And he's got really cool builds and neat stuff going on over. I saw that you just finished up that 55 Chevy.
Yeah. Thank you. That was I did that as a kind of a tutorial for people. I mean, a lot of my builds are Pro Street related. Yeah. And I've actually had a couple of Pro Street cars 1-to-1 scale. So,
oh, really?
And I like building I've had a Chevelle and a 70 Chevelle Pro Street. Both of them are big block cars, and a 69 Camaro big block Pro Street. So,
boy,
those were
Pro Street.
Yeah, man, I tell you. But yeah, that 55, I just finished it up, so it was kind of a tutorial series about how to take one kit bash it into something like that.
That's cool.
Really, just kind of debunking the myth of being able to get a good quality show shine out of a rattle can. So just a lot of things that I tried to combine into one tutorial.
I agree with that.
But appreciate you giving that a plug.
Oh yeah, no problem. Everybody, you gotta go check that out. Well, Fred, it's been great talking to you. Thanks a ton for coming.
Same here, Luca.
And
really.
you gotta know what I ask every guest at the end of the show, what they gotta do. Do you know what that is, and can you do it?
Well, I'm 58 years old. I got a memory like an elephant, but it's slammed shut today. Tell me.
I'm gonna give you that one. You gotta do the call off.
This?
the glue the fingers.
Yeah, man, I tell you, I've done that plenty of times. Just keep gluing your fingers together and cutting that styrene, guys. It's fun.
Yeah,
making that done.
Isn't it a blast? Well, thanks a bunch, and we will see you all in the next video. And here are my producers.